It's no surprise that, being the first Magic the Gathering set assumedly conceived after the pandemic began, Zendikar Rising played things, on the whole, safely. By bringing back a beloved and flavorful mechanic in Landfall, the set's only new core mechanic, Party, basically just being tribal support with a twist, and with comparatively little going on narratively in the set compared to Eldraine and Ikoria, the tendency of content creators towards nostalgia and comfort since the beginning of lockdown nestled right into our favorite card game. I don't exactly trawl the MTG message board, so I'm unsure if I'm in the minority here, but I find Zendikar painfully boring, and I'm already counting down the days until Scutesworn and Brushfire Elemental rotate out of Standard. That's why when Kaldheim was announced, and with it Boast and Foretell, I was cautiously excited. Both of these mechanics promised an inventive new outlet for Zendikar's ceaseless mana ramp, and seemed to lead to a desperately needed adrenaline shot directly into the brainstem of the meta. January 28th rolled around and, well, I guess that's the premise of this video. I'm BoringStupidCritic, and this is Kaldheim and WOTC's Conservatism, How a Good Set Could Have Been Great. Let me put my major issue with Kaldheim up front. The set is ultimately too cluttered by its major focus on tribal support, a mechanic which Wizards knows players love, to let Boast and Foretell shine at all, which in my armchair psychiatrist opinion is because these are new mechanics and so Wizards is apprehensive to shoulder the success of Kaldheim upon them. It's the sense of minor innovation, the ethos of, we'll try something new, but we won't make it the main identity of the set just in case it doesn't work, that stifles Kaldheim from being a truly great set. By taking a look at the numbers, we can very quickly see just how reluctant Wizards was with putting Boast and Foretell on cards. Kaldheim clocks in at 285 cards, 40 of which either have Foretell or supports Foretell, and even more shockingly, only 17 have Boast or support Boast. This means that, in terms of percentages, Foretell cards make up 14% of the set, and Boast only 6%. This puts Foretell at a roughly equal percentage to Adventure and Eldraine, and Mutate and Ikoria, but Boast is practically an afterthought in the overall structure of the set. In a set cringe-inducingly overmarketed on the premise of Heavy Metal Vikings, it reads as glaring oversight to have the most Viking-esque mechanic in the set barely present. I'm a big fan of Foretell, but if the proverbial gun were put to my head to choose which of the two mechanics would have the larger presence in Kaldheim, the mechanics to flavor geek in me would have to choose Boast. But that's exactly the point. That proverbial gun shouldn't have to be pointed at all.
Put away that gun!
But, because so much attention was paid to the two returning mechanics, Tribal Payoffs and Snow, the two new mechanics are left behind, backing up the set rather than leading it forward. I don't want to overstate the detriment this has on the set. I still find Kaldheim fun to play, but I don't think it's controversial to say that the best sets in Magic's history are the ones that have boldly pushed the limits of what a card can do, and challenging parts of the game and its rules that feel elemental, assumed. Exile was called remove from the game until cards that could bring things back from there came around and broke the fundamental idea of Exile, and with that completely changed the basic assumptions of Magic. Obviously, not every set can completely reinvent the game and stick the landing, but ideally, shouldn't every expert expansion aim for that? Here's the real kicker too, and if you'll indulge me, I'm going to aim at playing the role of the design team here. But I should also acknowledge that they're the ones who have the experience designing cards, I'm just some asshole on the internet, etc, etc. But there's no reason that the set couldn't have been designed to marry Boast and Foretell with Tribal Payoffs and Snow mechanics. In this hypothetical Kaldheim I'm constructing here, the 10 two-color pairs each have their own unique relationship to the two mechanics. It could be something like 4 of the factions are Boast-focused, 4 of them Foretell-focused, and the other 2 straddle the line, anything like that. The Valkyries, instead of just being focused on life gain and their 2 spells per turn theme, could boast to summon more angels onto the field or protect other creatures. Imagine a rare legendary Valkyrie with Boast, target other creature gains indestructible until end of turn. The dwarves wouldn't need to give up their equipment and vehicle focus. There would be dwarves with Boast abilities like this creature may attack on its own and crew a vehicle this turn. The tribal payoffs wouldn't need to be removed, they would just need to be shifted. So in this version, we have elves with abilities like, whenever you cast an elf spell that has been foretold, look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put an elf spell from among them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. Snow could even be racked up in this as well. Imagine a Draugr-aligned enchantment with whenever you foretell a card, add 1 snow mana. Hell, why not even put Foretell and Boast together? Have something like a giant who has Boast for 1, foretell a card from your hand. On a larger scale, what this might be an issue with too is how Wizards has moved away from the old format where each set in a block was one part of a 3-part narrative in one plane. The new format isn't bad by any means. It's pretty fun to have every set be radically different in aesthetic, tone, and mechanics from the previous one, but it means that WOTC basically works with a new mechanic as the centerpiece of one set, and then leaves it behind for the next one, only sticking around by interacting in interesting ways with the central mechanic of the new set. In the previous format, the design team could introduce a core mechanic in the first set of a block, and refine it and add supporting mechanics in the second and third, which simply isn't possible now without creating a possibly insurmountable disconnect between flavor and function. In an alternate timeline where that's how WOTC is still putting out sets in the 2020 to 2021 block, perhaps we would have seen a Kaldheim similar to the one that's out now, released in September, and a second set in February focused more on Boast and Foretell after testing the waters with the first. With Strixhaven looming on the horizon, who knows what core mechanics Wizards is cooking up as we speak, but I hope that the design team puts their most daring foot forward this time around, even if it fails. Anyway, that's the basic gist of my opinions on how Kaldheim could have been improved. I can't stress enough that I do like the set more than the rest of this video makes it sound. I think it's a great improvement in art direction after Zendikar, the setting is cool, and they have introduced the single greatest card in MTG history. Awoo! It's just that to keep a video like this concise and focused, it pays to put my serious criticism up front. I have a few other small issues and praises, particularly the criticism that double-faced cards introduce an unnecessary financial barrier to entry in card sleeves that can keep certain people out of the game, but I'm thinking about making an entirely separate video on that topic in and of itself. Let me know what you think, if you feel the same way about Kaldheim, if you love or hate Foretell and Boast, etc. This is my first video I'm putting out on this channel. I'm a media studies researcher studying trading card games and other similar cultural objects, so as I continue to have thoughts like this, I'll hopefully put out more videos like this. I'm flirting with the idea of streaming Arena on Twitch. You can find me there at BoringStupidCritic as well, so if you enjoyed my thoughts here in some minor form, you're welcome to swing on by. But for now, in the words of a great man, I'd like to say thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.